Good afternoon. Okay, today we'll be learning Aseret hadibrot, dibra 10, the last dibra, the last commandment, part 1. So before we go any further, first I want to dedicate this shiur for refuah shelema to Nahid Sarah bat Iran, Ditza Hadassah bat Chana, Baruch Yonatan ben Haya, Avram ben Chana, Rafael Chaim Meir ben Sima Chasha, Ora bat Dalia. And for the Zivugim, sorry, I forgot one more. Shimon Daniel ben Michal for Refuah Shlema, and Betoch Kol Chole Am Yisrael. And for the Zivugim, Hashem should send each single, his or her partner for life, in life, so that they can build a home of their own. Ve'yizku livnot bayit ne'eman be'Yisrael. And this shiur is le'ilui nishmat Solika bat Esther. So, and for our soldiers to come home safely. So the 10th dibra, the 10th commandment, the last commandment is Lo tachmod bet rehecha, do not covet. Don't be jealous, do not covet the house of your friend. Lo tachmod eshet rehecha, do not covet the wife of your friend. Ve'avdo, and his servant, ve'amato, and his maidservant, ve'shoro, and his bull, ve'hamoro, and his donkey, ve'chol asher lo, and anything that belongs to him. In other words, the Torah is telling us, don't be jealous. So, which is really almost automatic, right? How can the Torah asks us not to desire something, not to envy, not to feel jealous? It's a feeling. How can we control that feeling? So we'll go through here, and Bezat Hashem, by the end of the lesson, we'll learn how to do that. Okay. It is written, this commandment of do not covet, lo tahmod, it is written twice, and each time is the Torah is using a different term. Once it says lo tahmod, do not covet, and the other time it says lo titaveh, which is do not desire. Okay, lo titaveh is written in Sefer Devarim, like I've mentioned before, that the whole Aseret hadibrot, the 10 commandments were repeated again in Sefer Devarim. So the Mechilta says, the Mechilta is a perush, an explanation on the Torah, and says, there is a difference between chemda, kavet, and ta'ava, desire. Lo tahmod, Himud, the kavet, means you desire something that belongs to someone else, and you have a way you have a plan, you're thinking of a way how to get it. Bahok or bakrok, by any means possible to get it. You're going to try to get it. Lotit ave, do not have any desire, having a desire for something that belongs to someone else. I have a desire, but I'm not planning on getting anything, of planning anything to try and get it. So clearly, desire, the ta'ava, leads to hamud, the homed, covet. But the Torah says each one is forbidden independently. That means that if someone has a desire for an object that belongs to his fellow man, right? That for a fellow's possession. He transgresses, it means he makes the avera of lotit ave, not to desire someone else's possession. And if he let himself be carried away, and he will find a way, he'll have a plan how to get it, then in that case, then he has transgressed, he has made the avera of lo tahmod, not to covet. And Sefer HaChinur says, really, lo tahmod and lo tit'ave, do not covet and do not desire. This here are really an extension to the dibra lo tignov, to the commandment of not to steal. Since very often the desire to have something leads to covet, right? And to take an action to actually get that object. And that can lead to robbery, lo tignov. It can even lead sometimes to murder, depending obviously of what it is that a person desires and covets. We are commanded not to go down that path and taking action, having a plan to get what we desired, because that too is forbidden. That plan is really that lo tahmod. That plan, tahmod means not to plan, not to take any action to get what we want. So lo tahmod on its own suggests that an action is being performed. However, Chachamim learned this also from another pasuk in Devarim that says, Lo tahmod velo lakachta lecha. In Sefer Devarim is really the repetition, a review, not just a repetition, but a review of the entire Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu, a month before, from Rosh Chodesh Shvat until Zayin Adar, which is about 6 weeks or 30 days, 6 weeks, he actually, all he did was just 5 weeks, sorry. So all he did was just review the entire Torah with Bnei Israel before he took leave of them. And so in Devarim, Moshe Rabbeinu was warning Bnei Israel, you're going to go to Eretz Israel. You're going to fight wars. You're going to fight those goyim who live there. Now, those goyim own all kinds of idols made of wood, made of silver, made of bronze, made of gold. You've got to burn them. You have got to melt them. And you are not allowed to desire that gold or that silver or that bronze or that wood. Even if you just break it up, you cannot do it. You have to burn that avodah zarah. And you cannot take it for yourself, right? So since the transgression, since the avera of lo tahmod is not complete until one actually does act on it, right? Even if one acquires the object through legal means, let's say I pay, I see something and I want it, and I say, okay, I'll pay you for that necklace, I'll pay you for the dress, whatever it is, right? But, and it is acquired it, I paid for it, it's legal, right? It's not good. It is the avera, and then if it is obtained illegally, then for sure, then in that case, it's lo tignov. Then I stole. I took it by force, right? So really, such a person has done not one avera, but 3. Okay, the first one, lo tahmod, do not covet. Second one, lo tit'ave, do not desire. And the third one, lo tignov, do not steal. even if the man paid to his fellow man, right, for the object, the fellow did not really want to sell, but he sold it because he was under pressure. And we hear of things like that, right? Oh, I remember once a long time ago, I heard of a woman who had a friend who lived in in a certain place, and she went knocking next door to that woman, to the neighbor, and she said, "I want to buy the house." The neighbor said, "I'm not selling my house," but she would not leave her alone. Every day she would go knocking on her door. Every day she would, "I want to buy your house. I want to buy it." Why? Because she wanted to be next door to her friend. At the end, the family moved. They sold, but they didn't really want to. But she forced them. She forced them. She forced them to sell the house, and that really makes matter worse. And if this person is a person of power, that really makes things worse, because of his power, the fellow man or woman, whoever it is afraid to refuse. So it's under duress. It's he or she is forced to sell what it is that this most influential person want from her or him. So now the Sefer HaChinuch explains the Shoresh. What's the purpose of this mitzvah? The Sefer HaChinuch says like this: these types of thoughts are evil from the beginning, from the word go. And it causes a person many pitfalls. For once one has to put into his mind that the object of his desire, he will not pay attention to anything standing in his way until he gets what he wants. Why is it so evil? Because someone who wants something, an object from someone else, he's so intent. His mind has made up his mind, I must get it, no matter what. Right? So he's not paying attention to anything else. All he's paying attention to, and all he has in mind, is, I need to have that thing, that object. And like we said, even if it means to force that person, or even take it away from him. And what if the owner stands up and says, "No, I don't want to sell"? And that's what Chachamim tell us, that it can lead actually to stealing and to even killing. As we have learned about the story of Navot. If you remember about Navot, the one who had an orchard, I told you the story last week, had an orchard, and the king wanted the vineyard, and the king wanted the vineyard. So this is coming to this. How at the end he killed Navot. The king, the wife of the king killed Navot, and the king got the vineyard. This mitzvah of not to covet and not to have desires of something of an object that belongs to someone else, it is for both men and women at all times in Eretz Yisrael and in Chutz La'aretz, outside of the land, whether the Bet HaMikdash is Yerushalayim or not. So, can we correct such an action? Yes, we can, by returning the object, by giving back that object. Now we come back to our first question: how can we avoid desiring an object that belongs to someone else? So the Rabbi Avraham Ibn Ezra says, he lived in Spain, and he said like this: while a person might think to desire an object, I might think to desire an object, but I'm not going to covet. I'm not going to have a plan and action to get that thing that I desire. Why? Because if I say to myself, this is way beyond me, it's way beyond my dreams. For example, if we take a poor peasant, he might, poor peasant, he might covet the wife of his friend, who's also a poor peasant. But would he ever think of coveting a princess? Of course not. It's way beyond his imagination, way beyond his scope of thinking, right? So that's the way we have got to think. It's unnatural for a human being to covet something that he clearly cannot get. Something, it's in the moon. How can I get it? I can't get it. So what good is it for me to be jealous of something that's in the moon, right? So we should think that way. And why do we have to think that way? We must recognize that it is Hashem who gave each and every one of us our possessions, our homes, our furniture, our cars, our trips, our business, our jobs, whatever it is that we have, our families. It's all from Hashem. He's the one who gave me, but at the same time, he also gave to the other fellow men. So he gave him what I'm jealous of, right? Hashem, why Hashem gave it to him? We cannot ask that question. Hashem gave it to him. Hashem has his reasons. He has his will. And we cannot question that, right? So by internalizing this recognition, for us to really take that in and recognize it, one will come to view any property that Hashem gave to us or to another fellow to be as distant from himself as that princess from that poor peasant. Sefer HaChinuch teaches us that emotions and desires, they can be controlled, just like anger, laziness, etc. It is for this reason that the Torah was given to human beings and to us, Baruch Hashem, that we got the Torah. When a human being is led by his desires, he's compared to a beast. Why? Because a beast does whatever it wants. It's here, it sleeps here, whatever. A beast is a beast. It just doesn't think. It just does whatever he wants. Observing, following the Torah requires a man to do what? To resist his desires through constantly following the laws and performing the mitzvot. And it is through controlling his animalistic drives, desires, and preventing them from defining his character, right? Because if I let my anger out without any control, so I'm following. I'm not in charge of myself. I'm behaving just like an animal, right? So my desires, if I control them, and my characteristics, if I control them, what happens to me? A person becomes distinguished from the beasts. Then already I'm different, and attains the elevated status that it is the purpose of his creation. So that's, Hashem created me for that, for me to control myself, to control my desires. May Hashem help us always to be in control of our emotions so we can elevate ourselves and fulfill our mission. Have a good afternoon.